I didn't erase her mind. She knew what happened. That didn't change. She could still talk about what happened. It just didn't cause any emotional pain anymore. And so as a result, she was able to sleep without the medication, stopped drinking, doing cocaine, stopped smoking. One who was diagnosed with PTSD, this is a pretty impactful, traumatic story with a good ending. She came to me and she said, my main problem is that I can't sleep without taking, I think it was Ambien or one of those pills. And she had been doing this for about 8 years. And she said, that's my problem. But of course, if you've listened to our first podcast, that's just a symptom. Now, she was mostly just interested in being able to sleep well. And every time she tried to sleep without taking Ambien, she would just feel panicky. It turned out she also abused alcohol, cocaine, and smoked, all as ways of managing her emotional state to deal with her life. Otherwise, she was an executive at a company in Miami and was very, high functioning otherwise, amazingly. And we were talking, and it turned out that when this started, it started when she, in the middle of the night, her husband left the bed. He didn't come back. She went downstairs, saw the light on in the car. The car was in the driveway. She went out to the car and found that he had shot himself in the head in the driver's seat, and he was laying there dead in a bloody car. So that was what she came to at, 2 a.m. or something. So needless to say, she was inconsolable and was severely traumatized. And for months, she, was taking meds and doing talk therapy like every day. And it was really upsetting, not to mention the logistics of dealing with, I think she was probably 30 at the time when that happened. So, it was a young marriage and everything. So all of the grief that she was dealing with, the flashbacks, the guilt, maybe she could have prevented it. Maybe she could have seen the signs, whatever. So the flashbacks, she couldn't get the image of his head and the car and the body and all that awful stuff out of her mind. So when these flashbacks would come, which just happened throughout the day, she'd feel awful. She would grab some alcohol. She'd have a cigarette. She clearly couldn't sleep at night without Ambien. So she basically was self-medicating with the help of a psychiatrist, understandably, and that was keeping her level. But the real cause was the flashbacks, and that's one of the hallmarks of PTSD is hypervigilance and just, being hyper aroused and having these flashbacks. So she couldn't stop thinking about her dead husband and then all of the things surrounding it. Then she felt awful, and then she would behave in a self-medicating way to keep all of that emotional crap at bay. So what we did is we basically cleared the memory. We removed the emotional charge using neuro-linguistic programming, like we talked about, NLP, hypnosis, and memory reconsolidation. All of that is described on our website at goodwinhypnosis.com, and we have some videos of clients talking about similar experiences, not objectively like that, but traumatic experiences, and how from 1 minute they can go from having a trauma response to very often minutes later feeling no pain from that thought or memory at all. Now, this woman, I didn't erase her mind. She knew what happened. That didn't change. She could still talk about what happened. It just didn't cause any emotional pain anymore. And so as a result, she was able to sleep without the medication. She, with the help of her doctor, got off the Ambien over a course of several months to do it safely, stopped drinking, doing cocaine, stopped smoking. But if we had just tried to get her to quit smoking and doing drugs and alcohol first without clearing the trauma, I guarantee it would not have worked. It doesn't matter how good the hypnotist is, it would not work because the trauma had to be addressed first. When the memory changes, which is basically the thought or a part of the thought, then the belief that, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough, bad things happen, whatever the belief that is learned as a result of the experience, whatever that is, that changes. more easily. That's where a lot of hypnosis comes in, is changing the belief. And then when they're no longer having this disempowering, toxic belief, they don't feel anxious, depressed, resentful, angry, guilty, ashamed, regretful, whatever. And when they don't have all that emotional crap, then potentially addictive behaviors and substances lose their benefit. Because if you're already feeling okay, well, that's good enough. But if you're feeling like shit, then you want to do something to feel better. And so I often say, if you didn't feel so low, you wouldn't have to get so high.